Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now Anthony Joshua has put on his Snapchat story a list of all the fighters that have dropped him, all the fighters that have dropped Tyson Fury, and all the fighters who have dropped Dillian Whyte, asking the question, who has the better chin? I'm guessing that is the question he is asking here. Now Anthony Joshua has been dropped himself by two fighters, Andy Ruiz Jr. and Vladimir Klitschko. Tyson Fury has been dropped by four different fighters, Nevin Pjanic and Steve Cunningham, Deontay Wilder and John McDermott. Dillian Whyte, on the other hand, has been dropped by three different fighters, Joseph Parker, Oscar Rivas and Anthony Joshua himself. Now, I'm guessing the question Anthony Joshua is asking is, why is he always considered as having this vulnerability about him when he has been dropped by two different fighters, and Tyson Fury dropped by four, Dillian Whyte dropped by three. Yet Anthony Joshua has this stigma around him of being this guy who's a bit chinny, glass jaw, hit him once and he's ready to go. When he doesn't necessarily have that, he is a lot more durable than people give him credit for, because let's remember, he has been fighting at the top level. So he has been in there with top level fighters and top level punchers. I mean, look at the punches he had to take from Alexander Povetkin in their fight. He had the flu as well, but let's not talk about excuses. Let's talk about the fact that he was in there with one of the best left hookers in the game, yet still he stood up to the firepower and made it through the fight. Povetkin is very heavy-handed, yet Anthony Joshua was taking flush punches from him in that fight, yet still he did not even go down in the fight. Now, there were fighters that hurt him badly, like Andy Ruiz Jr., and I guess you could say Vladimir Klitschko as well. But on both occasions, it was kind of because of Anthony Joshua's own fault and inexperience. Against Vladimir Klitschko, knocked him down in the 5th round. Rushed in too much, got tired, got fatigued, was 18 stone plus. So it was very difficult for Anthony Joshua to get his second wind when he got tired, and lactic acid kicked in. So he struggled for a couple rounds, got put down in the next round, the 6th round. Then Andy Ruiz Jr. dropped him again. The same thing happened. So ultimately Anthony Joshua got dropped by two different fighters in his career. Both times were down to, I guess you could say, inexperience. Because, as I said, on both occasions he dropped his opponent, rushed in too quick, got dropped himself. And you can't really say there was any other reason for that. Yes, he has been hurt before by Dillian Whyte, maybe Povetkin as well, maybe even Joseph Parker. There's some disputes about him hurting Anthony Joshua, but ultimately he did not go down. Anthony Joshua has never been knocked down by a fighter who he did not knock down first. Both Andy Ruiz Jr. and Vladimir Klitschko were on the canvas before Anthony Joshua. So I guess what you could say is his vulnerability wasn't necessarily his chin, it was in fact his inexperience. And not only that, someone can be classed as chinny and still be a good fighter, still have all of the things necessary to become a world champion. If people are calling Anthony Joshua chinny, well, he's a world champion anyway, so he hasn't done too bad, considering he's apparently chinny. And again, I put that down to inexperience more so than not being able to take a punch. Now, it is easy to have that kind of mindset, to get that into your head, that maybe one punch could change everything. Maybe you're one punch away from losing the fight. And in the heavyweight division, that is true for all fighters, every single one, because everyone over 200 pounds can bang. And if you get hit by someone who weighs that much and with 10-ounce gloves on, then it's going to hurt. And if you do not see it coming, it could very well knock the fighter out. So that's what happens in the heavyweight division. It's called the division where one punch can change everything. In fact, in boxing, one punch can change everything. Look at, say, Andy Ruiz Jr., granite chin, he's been dropped. Carl Froch, granite chin, he's been dropped. Chris Eubank, granite chin, but he's been dropped. So these fighters who have that granite chin have still been on the canvas, usually from shots they do not see coming. I mean, look at the shot that dropped Carl Froch against George Groves. Did not see it coming. I don't know how he got up from that punch. He has a very good chin, but still, he got dropped by a punch that he did not see coming from a very explosive and a powerful puncher in George Groves. So it's not necessarily just about your durability, it's about whether you see the punch coming, whether you have the experience to weather the storm after being on the canvas. And the question Anthony Joshua is asking, who has the better punch resistance, him, Tyson Fury, or Dillian Whyte, when Tyson Fury has been dropped by 4 different fighters at probably 3 or 4 different levels as well. Dillian Whyte has been dropped by 3 different fighters. Now, it's not necessarily about how many fighters have dropped them. It's not about that. Tyson Fury has 4 fighters who have dropped him, but against Deontay Wilder, he got up. That's what matters. It's not about how many fighters and how many times they've been dropped. It's about whether they get up and continue and win the fight. Tyson Fury has done that against Deontay Wilder, and in all of the times he's been knocked down, he got up to win. Tyson Fury was in there with arguably the biggest puncher in the heavyweight division. So how did he get up in the 12th round? If he was chinny, like many believed he was when he was put down by a small cruiserweight in Steve Cunningham. Same with Anthony Joshua. If he's chinny, how did he get knocked down when he was exhausted and fatigued against Vladimir Klitschko? Get up, still be eating right hands left, right and centre, but still continued on, won the fight in the 11th round. Dillian Whyte got dropped in the last round against Joseph Parker. He was out on his feet, completely knackered, yet still he got up and weathered the storm. Same against Rivas as well. And obviously, that loss on his record, Joshua, he did not weather that storm. Maybe he didn't have the experience. Maybe at that point, he just wasn't ready to be able to go the full 12 rounds with Anthony Joshua. Joshua, the same with Ruiz, very inexperienced. He's still very inexperienced considering how many fights he's had and the level he is fighting at. And obviously, Dillian Whyte has that one loss on his record against Anthony Joshua. He did not weather that storm because he did not have the experience. He was fighting when he should have been holding. Anthony Joshua, the same with Ruiz, fighting when he should have been holding. And when he hurt Ruiz, rushed in too quick for the finish. Inexperience. So on both occasions, when Dillian Whyte lost and when Anthony Joshua lost, you have to put it down to inexperience. Not necessarily because they didn't have a good chin. The best chin in the business is the one that doesn't get hit. Look at Gennady Golovkin, known for his durability, yet look what happened when he got in there with Derevyanchenko in a recent fight. He didn't have that same kind of durability about him. So anyone can be knocked out. Anyone with a granite chin maybe won't always have that durability going later on in their career. Maybe it is too early and they don't have the experience to weather the storm. You will often see young fighters who get hurt fighting instead of holding, doing things they should not be doing when they are hurt because they have that ego about them. They don't want to hold, they want to be fighting. They want to fight fire with fire. But what they should be doing is holding and buying time. Look at Vladimir Klitschko, for instance. He got knocked down, he got knocked out when he was younger. Then he went, 10 years without being knocked out, even though that was considered a weakness of his. Many fighters got in there believing that they could knock him out. All it was going to take was one punch. David Haye said that in the build-up to their fight. He said he's going to be crawling around on the floor like he was against Lamont Brewster, like he was against Ross Purity and Corey Sanders. But it did not happen because Vladimir Klitschko had the experience later on in his career. The experience he did not have when he was young because he would often fight when he should be holding. He did not have that same style, leaning back, European style, riding shots. That is what he should be doing early in his career, but it took him those losses, those knockdowns to learn that. So guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Anthony Joshua has asked the question, who has the better punch resistance? Him, Tyson Fury, or Dillian Whyte? Considering Dillian Whyte has been dropped by 3 different fighters. Tyson Fury, 4 different fighters. Anthony Joshua, 2. It's not necessarily about how many fighters have dropped the top 3. It's just about they got up and ultimately they won. Other than Anthony Joshua and Ruiz, other than Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua, I put that down to purely inexperience alone, being in there at a higher level when they had very few fights, and ultimately they were fighting fire with fire when they should be holding and buying time, using little tricks that only come with experience. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.